Hello, friends. Welcome to Betkraft, the home of sure bet predictions and analysis. Just as we did yesterday, we saw how very successful our predictions yesterday were. So we were able to achieve 6/6. 100% of our predictions yesterday. We're absolutely right. We saw Kerala Blasters winning. We saw Corona and Brato who predicted that game correctly. We saw Peterborough also winning the match. We saw Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund also won. You know, where else can you get 100%? It is in Betkraft. Okay, today again we have exciting games going on in Europa League and also in Europa Conference League, and we took our time to go into some of them and made our in-depth analysis on those games and bring it to you. And before we go ahead, I want to use this opportunity to also remind those of us that seeing us at the first time to please subscribe so that you do not miss out on our contents, and as well we will grow in this very channel. Okay, please take your time to do that. Hit the subscribe button. Have you done that? Okay. All right, let's continue. Okay. Today we're starting with a UEFA Conference League match where we have Fiorentina coming up against Maccabi Haifa of Israel, and we look at, as usual, take a look at how they fared in the past 20 in the recent past and also in the head-to-head. Okay, and we go with the first team, which is the home match, which is the home team, Fiorentina, who have 7 wins and 8 draws and 5 losses in the past 20 games that we had. And also their away side have seen 12 wins, 5 draws, and 3 losses in the past 20 games they've had. Looking at how they fared in recent past, we can see that the home side, Fiorentina, have seen 2 wins, 3 draws in the past 5 encounters. One of those wins coming from their defeat, the defeat to Maccabi Haifa in the first leg of this very encounter. Okay, by 4 goals to 3. Okay, that's a lot of goals in one match. And on the away side, we'll see Maccabi Haifa achieving 3 wins and 2 losses in the past 5 games of played so far. And one of those losses, which we just mentioned, was the first leg defeat to Fiorentina the first leg of this very encounter. And that last time happened to be the only head-to-head that we have in this very game. And in this very encounter, we expect the home side, who is Fiorentina, who is actually in a very fine form at the moment, to come up with some good results in this very game. Fiorentina win. That's our verdict for this very encounter. Okay, to the next game that we have for you is also in UEFA Conference League. We'll have Fenerbahce coming up against Sengalos. And in the past 20 for both sides, we see that Fenerbahce have seen 16 wins, 3 draws, and just 1 loss in the past 20 games. And away side have seen 13 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses in the past 20 games they've had. Looking at how they fared in recent past, we could as well notice that Fenerbahce in the past 5 have been able to achieve 4 wins out of 5. And also a 3-0 win in the first leg of this very fixture against Sengalos. Okay, they won that game from away by 3 goals to 0. All right, and the away side, Sangalos have seen 3 wins and 1 loss and 1 draw in the past 5 games they've played. And coming to this very encounter, it's going to be a very, very, very interesting encounter. Seeing that Sangalos, we want to try to cancel those goals scored by Fenerbahce in the first leg. So it's going to be really an interesting one, and it will expect a firecrackers in this very one. And what was our verdict? And it is over 1.5 at least. We're going to see at least 2 goals in this very encounter. Okay, that leads us to the next game. It is in next game in Conference League again. We'll have Aston Villa coming up against Ajax, and also see that Aston Villa, who's at home this time, have been able to manage 9 wins, 6 draws, and 5 losses in the past 5 games, the past 20 games they've had. And the way side have been able to have 9 wins, 6 draws, and 5 losses also in the past 20 games they've played. And we also it's interesting to note that in the first leg of this very encounter, we saw both sides playing out a 0-0 draw in the first leg. Okay, and looking at how both teams have fared in the past 5, we see that Aston Villa have had 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. And Wayside have seen 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss in the past, past 5 games they've had. Okay, and that past leg of this very encounter happened to be the only head-to-head match that we have here. And also, in this very encounter, we look at it, we believe that Aston Villa, who is the home side, is going to try to come up with the sport, some sort of result in this. But we went for goals market, and it is an over 2.5 in this game. We're going to see three goals at least coming up in this very encounter. Over 2, that's our verdict. And to the next, also in Conference League, where we have Maccabi Tel Aviv coming up against the Olympiacos of Greece. We look at it in this way, we'll see that the home side, Maccabi, have been able to achieve 13 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses in the past 20 games. While the away side, Olympiacos have seen 12 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses in the past 20 games they have played. And in the recent past for both sides, we can also see that the home side, Maccabi Tel Aviv, have achieved 5 wins out of 5, including 4-1 defeat of Olympiacos in the very first leg of this very encounter. And while Olympiacos on the other side have seen 3 wins and 2 losses in the past 5 games they've had. Okay, and we made our verdict in this very encounter, and it is actually a goal verdict because we're going to see Olympiacos trying to overturn this huge deficit of goals that they have in the first leg of this very encounter. So we expect an over 2.5 goals, at least 3 goals in this very encounter. That's our verdict. And to the next game that we have is in the Europa League, where we have Villarreal coming up against Marseille. Okay, you can as well look at how they fared in the past 20. You see that Villarreal in the past 20 have had 8 wins, 7 draws, and 5 losses. While Marseille, on the other hand, that the past 20 games they've played, they've been able to achieve 11 wins, 6 draws, and 5 losses in the past 20 games they've played. And you can also testify that Marseille is actually a team in fine form at the moment, and they've been dispatching their opponents in all the games that we played in recent times. You see that in recent times for the home side, Villarreal have managed 3 wins and 1 loss, and which that loss coming against the Marseille when the Marseille played at home this very, this first leg of this very fixture. We saw Marseille defeating Villarreal 4-0. Okay, and while Marseille on the other hand have seen 5 wins out of 5 in the past 5 games they've played so far. So they are actually having a very good momentum at the moment, and in this very encounter, we expect at least 2 goals to go for goals because we know that Villarreal will come up, with some sort of, momentum trying to reduce the deficit. So we go for another 1.5. We're going to see at least 2 goals coming up in this very encounter. And the next game that we have is also in Europa League, where we have West Ham coming up against Freiburg. And also in the past 20 for West Ham, they have seen 7 wins, 6 draws, and 7 losses. And Freiburg, on the other hand, have seen 9 wins, 5 draws, and 6 losses in the past 20 games they've played. And looking at how they've fared in recent past, we could as well notice that in the past 5 games for West Ham, they have seen 2 wins, 2 losses, and one draw in the past 5 games. And as well, the away side have seen 3 wins and 1 loss and 1 draw in the past 5 games they played. And what can as well note that the away side Freiburg defeated West Ham at home in the first leg of this very encounter by 1-0. And we're going to see the firecracker game in England. Okay, and we expect West Ham to come up victors in this very encounter, seeing that they're playing home. The last time they played home against Freiburg, they defeated Freiburg by 2-0. Okay, and in this very encounter, and if you look at the head-to-head also, the 3 head-to-head matches that we have here, we see West Ham winning 2 out of those 3, and Freiburg, achieving the 1 win, which was the last time they met. But in this very encounter, we expect the home side, West Ham, to come up winners in this very encounter. That's our verdict. And to the next game that we have, it is Brighton coming up against Roma in the Europa League match. Because we know that in the first leg of this very encounter, so Roma defeating Brighton by 4-0. But in this very game, we gradually take a look at how they played in the past. So you see that Brighton have seen 8 wins, 5 draws, and 7 losses, while Roma have been able to manage 11 wins, 4 draws, and 5 losses in the past 2 games they've played. You can as well see their recent performance. See that the past 5 for Brighton, they have been able to manage 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 losses in the past 5 games they've had. While Roma, on the other hand, have seen 2 draws and 3 wins in the past 5 games. So in this very encounter, honestly, we're going to see a whole lot of very interesting encounter because the Brighton also is going to try to see how they can overturn the huge deficit. We expect at least 2 goals coming up in this very encounter. Over 1.5 goals in this very encounter. That's our verdict. And to the next game, which is happened to be the last game of the day, it is in Europa League where we have Rangers coming up against the Benfica. Okay, in this very match, you can as well see that the home side, Rangers, who have managed 16 wins in the past 20, and they have had 2 draws and 2 losses in the past 20 games they've played, and the away side have seen 14 wins in the past 20. They have also seen 4 draws and 2 losses in the past 20 games. And looking at how they played in the recent encounters, we see that Rangers, they have seen 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw in the past 5 games, as well as noting that the draw also happened in the first leg of this very encounter, where they played out a 2-2 draw with Benfica. And also their away side, Benfica, have seen 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw in the past 5 encounters. Okay, seeing head-to-head on both sides have produced high scoring encounter on 3 occasions that both sides have played each other. They have scored 3-3, 2-2, and another 2-2. So seeing a very a game having a high volume of goals. So in this very encounter, we expect also a 2.5 goals. We expect at least 3 goals coming up in this very encounter. That's our verdict for the day, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you have rain just as we had yesterday. Okay. By the way, congratulations to those of us who won yesterday, and remember to play responsibly. Do not put everything or your fortune in one bet. It's a football game, anything can happen. There could be a red card, there could be one thing or the other that changes the expectation of this game. So be mindful of that, and but in that light, I want to wish you the best, and I say tomorrow is another day. But before then,